to work with, and I feel like they were using those tools, but we'll see. Quite a different draft, to be fair. Kha'Zix coming in. This time they've got the Ahri, the Aphelios, and Rakan as well. Very different style of game to what we saw in Game 1.
Yes. Rare Atom, very much about denying vision control, linking up, much in the way that we saw on our first series of the day, actually, with LNG, having the Umbral Glaive built up on the Kha'Zix, having that with the push from mid lane of the Ahri as well, starve out vision, use that to give you Fog of War to engage in picks. On the other side, LGD, you're looking to, as all Maokai Jace combos do, use that ultimate from Maokai to buy space from the Shock Blast, allow Jace to stand at range and get value.
Yeah, see if they can get the value, and also the saplings as well can get so much value alongside those shock blasts. Like, you can really like punish people before the fight ever kicks off. It's all about denial. We'll see if they can pull it off though, as we head to game number 2. LGD impressing us in game number 1, and I'm hoping to remain impressed here in game number 2. But RA, I want to see more, especially in that mid game. I want to see what they can do if they get a lead early, because they had lanes to play through in the early game. They certainly had advantages to work with, but not able to make them stick. I'm looking a little bit towards the laning phase as well in that bottom lane. I feel like Envyy leaving something to be desired towards the start of the laning phase. Definitely woke up later on into the lane, but here on the Jinx has the range advantage. And I mean, like, look, this composition, just range advantage is the perfect word for pretty much every single matchup we've got. We'll see how Envyy's going to do. He did well in the late game. Let's see how he does in the laning phase again.
Yeah. And, you know, the key thing about range advantage is, can you keep that range advantage in team fights? It doesn't matter if you can get gap closed on and that range is, like, everyone's in melee. It doesn't matter if you've got, like, a 900 range if you can't keep at that point. Cask can help with that. Maokai Saplings, as you were saying, can help with that. The slow, the damage. Maokai Ult can help with that. That's the kind of thing which LGD need to really use well to stop the Fog of War into clutch pick CC, and engage comes through from Rare Atom. That's where Rare Atom can start denying that range advantage.
And hey, congratulations, LGD. This is their 800th game in the LPL as an organization. Massive milestone for them. 6th in the league for total games, which is kind of surprising. I feel like LGD, one of the oldest orgs.
Yeah.
Who else is obviously RNG,
you would have had
EDG would be ahead of them.
OMG,
WE.
RNG, RNG, WE. So that's 4 of them. I guess EDG have got to be in there too. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But LGD, I mean, they've played an awful lot of games as well, because they've been at the top of the table for a long time as well. Back in Season 5, they won, of course, and we won't mention Worlds, of course, but like they ended up doing so well in that summer 2015, and in every multiple of 5 year afterwards, they've looked great.
They certainly have, but unfortunately, the most recent years have not been kind to LGD.
They're not multiples of 5 after all.
And they have not been making playoffs, which is why they are now in 6th place in terms of total games. But anyway, I feel like we're kind of just sandbagging on LGD at that point, so I'm going to move on with the conversation and talk about the game at hand, because we have our 2 junglers both pathing down here. You can see Leyan headed towards his Wolves, whereas Meteor already kicking off those Raptors. Curious if we do have players getting down into that bottom lane again, or whether it's going to be all about that scuttle grab.
See, the thing is, I don't think Maokai ever wants to run into Kha'Zix at Scuttle. Kha'Zix clears them very quickly and just kills you bluntly. That's one of the big reasons why Kha'Zix has come into priority. When you have competitive lanes which can roam towards a Scuttle Crab, Kha'Zix will always win the jungle matchup, which means that it's pretty unplayable if there's another player in the river as well. You're likely expecting to get double Scuttled unless you have good vision on Kha'Zix to immediately take the other Scuttle as he's on the first one.
Let's see if they're going to be able to go for that Scuttle, and I think he will. Just dodge the Wolves entirely because it takes too long to kill them. Just took the 2
They're
solo
not isolated,
camps.
they're not single targets.
Exactly. Scry's Bloom used to deal with the ward. Meteor has information, and Leyan, because he skipped those Wolves, only level 3. Meteor is going to try and contest this, but Leyan takes it. That's level 4 now. Does he go to his Wolves, or does he try to go for the double Scuttle? Strive with a good little charm there on the backside of the trade. It's going to be fairly even. But Haichao buying space for Meteor to move on in. Taxes a melee on his way to get the Scuttle Crab.
Does mean it's not going to be a double Scuttle. Meteor at least showing his face around that bot Scuttle with the threat of JinJiao moving up means that he forces the smite, knows that there wouldn't be a smite available for the top Scuttle, so he gets 1 back. That's important. Means that Leyan isn't getting all the early gold, which potentially you can do on that Kha'Zix.
So denied for now. Is fearness, big old wave stacked up, wants to try and push that in, but Xiaoxu had the best of the matchup in game number 1. fearness happy to take that Gragas once again. And remember, fearness was the one that won it in the end, despite the early laning. Xiaoxu was looking impressive. It's not going to matter if you can't win the game at the end of it. So we'll see what Xiaoxu's able to do in the top side once again. But I'm cautiously impressed by Xiaoxu. I feel like every time I watch him, like, yeah, this guy's consistently pretty good during the laning phase.
And I think coming out of spring, that was a lot of the examples that we kind of saw of this guy is actually doing a lot better than people expected right now. Threatening a Q3 again. There it goes.
Ooh, nice flash to make it happen. fearness goes down. And Leyan flashing into the lane to make sure that fearness falls. And look at that wave as well, pushing in towards Xiaoxu so he can head back to base. Might be able to walk this one in. I think he might have to TP.
And that's a fun one, because not only you tasting the fear from Kha'Zix, you're tasting the fearness for first blood as well. Chomps down on them. Want to know? It's great, isn't it? This one's going to die as well. JinJiao caught out.
I mean, that is tough for JinJiao. One more auto. No, the shield comes on in. Can they finish it? Guardian is there. He doesn't have the damage. And Assum's going to go down as well. I mean, it's just not good.
What do you say?
It's just not good.
What do you say? That's so awkward. I mean, this time it's, I mean, we saw a bit of the failed dive in that first game. Envyy and JinJiao are on the poorer end of that trade. This time it is JinJiao dealing that to Assum. He was, of course, on the better end of that one in game 1. That is just so sad, man.
I'm going to be honest. You're Envyy in this situation. You're watching that as you're in the shop and walking back to lane. You're like, what is happening?
What are those kids doing?
I leave lane for 3 seconds and this is what happens? He's going to have to return. To be fair, the mini wave at least was in a good spot for him, so he'll be able to push that in. But Assum back to lane in time to clean things up. Man, what a wacky series of it. This whole series has been pretty wacky.
It's been a fun day. It's been a fun day of League of Legends. Has it been a clean day of League of Legends? No, absolutely not. But that's JinJiao just trying to force the wave into the turret, try and get that away. Doesn't quite understand, I think, how close Assum was to coming back into lane. Has a clutch shield. Was thinking it was pretty much done at this point, but has to save for one more auto, and then, of course, ends up for the kill. Even with the Guardian shield on the tower. The increased damage in towers over time, very much a threat.
Yeah, I have to say, the fact that JinJiao started that play off with an emote as he tries to stop Feather from holding the wave. He like emotes BMing and then immediately just gets wrecked by Feather. That was beautiful. The fact that there's no assist for Envyy as well, though. The one downside, Assum died, right? So he loses a lot of CS. You can see a 15 CS lead built up there by Envyy off the back of that play. Leyan wants a little bit more of what's happening up top. The all-out separates them, though, and it won't matter. Xiaoxu grabs that kill. And we'll get solo time on that tower as well.
Well, dude, it is going to be traded for, what's happening there? That's a pretty low Kha'Zix.
Oh! The reset on the Gromp saves Leyan's life. I don't even know why that reset.
Did he ult? I think he ulted to get invisibility so Gromp didn't attack him. If that happened, yeah, the ult's on cooldown. Leyan, that is some quick thinking. That Gromp auto attack would have 100% killed him.
That was about as close as they come. My God. 1 HP remaining. Fair play, Envyy. That was a good attempt. Valiant effort, but unfortunately not quite able to make it stick. Gromp completely betraying LGD there as he whiffs the shot, whiffs the spittle. As Gromp, Cogmore, not a big difference between those two.
Absolutely true. And now you can even get the Gromp in your champion select as well. How wonderful is it that we can spend our time with jungle camps outside of the Rift as well. Getting back onto the Rift though, Umbral Glaive bought up for Leyan. It's not the best one-item damage spike. You don't lose that much compared to your other lethality items, despite the fact that lethality items are very strong right now for your AD Assassins. But it gives you this extra play pattern, which we've talked about a lot today in terms of starving out vision on the map, contesting what Meteor's going to be doing with saplings and what he's going to be doing with this level 6. And he is bot side to stave off a dive. Both mid lane is coming.
Leyan's here too. Meteor trying to start this one off, but red and white weapons looks pretty good for Assum as they go way too deep. Meteor will go down 1-for-1 here. JinJiao and Envyy, they've just got to try and get out of the play now. 1-for-1, but jungler down.
Jungler down, extra gold over to Leyan. And Assum gets to still farm up these minions. It's not like you killed the AD carry and denied them another wave, so even trade at best for LGD.
Xiaoxu still getting the best of this top matchup. Look at that CS lead that he's built up for himself as well. And when we saw the player gold difference pop up, the most significant leads were for Xiaoxu and for Leyan. They were the two that ahead. The rest of the map was fairly even. Well, with Assum getting a bonus kill here, it's certainly going to help him out on the bottom side.
Well, he's LGD, they packed their scuba tanks, they went for a dive. Didn't really have enough air in the tank for that one, though. Leyan in the right place at the right time, gets back out there, and gets his AD carry a kill.
It's pretty rough for them as well, the fact that Envyy doesn't get the kill. It's actually Meteor that picked that one up. So you're trading 1-for-1 in terms of kills, but you just get an assist on your Jinx, whereas Envyy gets a kill. That is not a positive trade for the side of LGD. After what looked so good in game number 1, RA, once again, their early game looks fantastic.
Giving an early kill over to someone like a Maokai is okay when you go the AP build, or it used to be okay, because that the first item, Demonic Embrace, used to be so strong. Not the case, though. This is going to be the tank Maokai going towards the Sunfire. Don't get me wrong, it's still nice to have gold where you can on your front line, but that Jinx needs to be doing a lot of work. Again, reminder, this LGD comp is about range advantage and keeping that range advantage. If you actually can't do damage with your Jinx because they haven't got gold, the range advantage doesn't really do that much.
No, it does not. There's fearness and Xiaoxu still going at it in the top side. This is one of the more aggressive top lanes we've seen. As attempt number 2 in the bottom side. The route blocked by Feather. Flame Chomper's there as well, but I mean, you know, at least they don't die this time, but not a great attempt.
You still blow your ultimates. I mean, you don't even get anything out of Assum and Feather.
They didn't even get under the tower.
Don't get at the tower, you don't deny minions, you have just thrown a party trick at them, and they've given you a round of applause. Don't think they'll be asking for an encore, still a little bit annoying. Strive going to be able to keep Haichao in lane as well, he'll be teleporting back at some point, and now Leyan gets to roam to the play second.
Yeah, Feather with the quickness, flashes out to safety. Moonlight Vigil on 3, and the flash forwards for the Infernum. Assumes out of mana though, and Envyy has a moment to shine. There's one with the reset. Feather tries to escape. Xiaoxu TP's into the play. Envyy still with mana and health, and Feather knocked back. Beautiful play from fearness. Envyy still going. Xiaoxu is tanky though, and he wants a bit of action for himself. The all-out comes out onto Envyy, and Strive follows up on the play. RA turning it back onto his head. A double for Strive.
Strive getting the resets, and it's all off the back of Xiaoxu taking his individual lead and applying it to the rest of the map. Huge CS lead, huge amounts of gold in pocket, and they explodes the game for Atom in a way that they absolutely couldn't in game 1. Things fell apart from them in the mid-game after an even early game. This time they're pulling ahead early.
Certainly are. Haichao will deny the wave there, or at least clear the wave, and stop the Herald being dropped. So let's take another look. As it looks so good to start with when Assum flashes in, gets onto everyone, but they just can't finish the kills.
Well, they can't, and this is after the Maokai ult was already down. So you think, oh, without the Maokai ult, surely this is a better fight. And it looks really good for LGD, even without that Maokai ult, because fearness gets the first kill, the AD carries down, but at this point in the game, the items aren't built up that the AD carries are all of your damage. It's stolen! Damage to dragons, apparently.
I will say, Envyy this game has been on it with the rockets. The rocket towards Gromp there to try and finish Leyan earlier on. Now taking a dragon. Looking good on the Jinx, as now that Herald will come down at the bottom side with red and white weapons as well. Say goodbye to your tower, LGD. This one is not going to last. Shock Blast going to be used. Actually, it is going to last because the whole team is on its way. And Feather, stuck alone in trouble, dashes over the wall. It's Leyan and Assum going to try and escape. The roots come on through. Assum should be able to hide behind, but no, both get rooted. Feather blocks the Shock Blast though. And it will be RA getting away. Just one plate remaining.
Birds of a feather flee together, apparently. All of them get out safely. These Maokai ults haven't really gotten that much value towards this bot side. Assum able to get huge amounts of plates from that, and the extra gold towards that AD carry. Saw how bursty he was even in that last fight. Couldn't quite get the damage down. He's not even in his first item yet, of course. getting more golden pocket makes that eventuality even more scary. So LGD needs to pay very close attention to now the spots in the map that's starting to fight around. Assum is going to get to a point of power very quickly. They are very lucky that they get the steal here, particularly because Rare Atom are a team that have a lot of that vision control like we were talking about. They want to be kind of controlling areas of the map. Getting themselves up to the Dragon advantage helps them being able to stall out the rest of the game.
Yeah. Tower taken down, Feather tanking that one just to make sure that the minions survive so they don't, the tower doesn't receive backdoor bonus, that extra armor when there's no minions around. It will be RA continuing to skyrocket this gold lead, much better than what we saw in game number 1. It's about 5,000 gold lead at this point. Really impressive stuff at 14 minutes. LGD, I feel like they're at a point now where, yes, you've got 2 Drakes, but realistically, are you ever going to be able to contest another Drake in this game? Like, we're talking very late game unless things go very badly wrong for RA.
Well, that's why the steal on Jinx is so important here, because it gives them, it opens the door just slightly ajar, where you think, okay, that's another 10 minutes on top of all of the rest of the things which could come into play. Now, of course, you can't give up something like a Baron easily, I don't think. That'll be where that timer gets cut much shorter, 5 minutes until that spawns. Where Atom, they have very good Baron damage, of course, with Kha'Zix's isolation and then the Aphelios itself. LGD, they need to find a way to stall, but that is not an easy task, like you're saying.
I have to say, it's exciting to see this LGD bottom lane as well. Like, looking at JinJiao, like, fighting for vision here. JinJiao used to be an AD carry player for a very long time, known for his Vayne specifically. But good to see a veteran support here with this fresh talent coming over from the LCK in Envyy. And good to see them, you know, thrive to some extent and showing up in their series against against JDG, sorry. Showing up across the course of this game as well. I'm hoping to see more from this duo. I'm hoping to see some really great stuff over the course of the split, because I feel like it's a duo that do have solid potential to be a bit of a powerhouse in the bottom lane for the team.
LGD, they are a team that did do a fair bit of switching between members here and there. They changed out a couple of the members in spring to try to figure out which lineup would work best, and we've been used to seeing LPC as the AD carry for LGD. He's been playing a lot of this summer as well, but as you said, Envyy had some bright moments. He'll have to find himself a spark to ignite something soon, though. So it feels like LGD giving over all of the neutral objectives, despite the fact that they had that steal earlier. It's not going to be enough for them. Second Herald going the way of Rare Atom, which could potentially open up this mid lane outer turret. You lose that for LGD, very hard to hold your control on the map.
Yeah, I feel like LGD showing up is a mistake there for the Herald. You should just play opposite as the roots come in. LGD apparently want to fight, which I'm not sure is a wise decision to make. fearness in trouble, flashes over the wall, keep himself alive. They've defended the tier 1 in the mid lane. I don't understand how they're so confident to just step up to RA. They're 5,000 gold down, but they ain't backing away.
Trying to use that range advantage. Again, that's the team's identity. Peel back, use the Haichao, use that to get a shock blast and some rockets across. As you can see, the damage doesn't really land, but at least they managed to wave clear with their range.
They do. fearness dodges the knock up here. Keep your eyes on Envyy in these fights, because he's pretty much the only significant damage during the team fights, aside from Haichao's burst, but Envy's the consistent damage for the squad. He's the one that's really got to carry a lot of this in the fights.
Oh,
Xiaoxu has found him, knocks him back. Envyy gets underneath the tower, though will survive. Wild Growth comes out onto JinJiao here to buy space, and once again, LGD walk away with their lives.
So Xiaoxu doesn't pull the ult, but he blows 4 summoners from the bot lane of LGD. That's going to allow the Dragon to go over to Rare Atom. Gotta keep your eyes on that Jigsaw. Has that ultimate. I don't think anyone's in position to body block it right now. It's at half HP. Where's the timing?
I mean, he's got no vision. This is pure feel. He's not going to go for it.
Oh, come on. You have to.
Not confident.
Oh, I'm quite disappointed, actually.
I am a little bit as well, but I get it. When you're completely blind, maybe just saving the cooldown is the play after all. As now moving up to the top side, and LGD deciding they want to make a play opposite, but the stopwatch saves the day. Strive stopwatches and forces a flash out from Meteor. Good shock blast there. Envyy with the zap. And this is what he was saving the rocket for, the potential play on the top side, but Strive outplays it with the stopwatch.
Now, the thing is, because that play goes awry and Envyy moves through it, I'm not sure Envy's going to be here in time to wave clear around this turret. In fact, actually with fearness here, I think that will save the turret just about. LGD, lucky for them, able to keep this mid lane outer turret standing. You lose that, and again, it's just so hard to protect vision in your jungle and to make sure you can stall to a point where you can fight evenly with Rare Atom into the late game. And that's a ways off.
Certainly is. As now, RA, you'd anticipate will try and put some pressure on. It's a minute until Baron spawns onto the map. They're feeling confident. They're feeling like they're in control. The problem is, without Baron, the wave clear is kind of fantastic on LGD. You've got a Gragas, you've got a Jinx, and you've got a Jace. They're all pretty good at dealing with minion waves. So it's tough for RA to actually find a siege. Perhaps a dive could be on the cards.
Actually, it could be. They're less about their huge teamfight engages, though. They really want to just choke out vision and force LGD to fight into Fog of War. When they're standing under their turret, it's a little harder to get at them. It's why this tower's taken such a long time to take. They can't just take it for free. Strive looking for the charm.
Dive coming through. Wild Growth onto Envyy. He's got no summoners and he'll be taken down. Tower goes and a bonus kill on top as Meteor stuck between a tower and a hard place. And now 9-4 with Baron about to spawn with 2 picks and the jungler down. I feel like this is a pretty good opportunity for RA.
There we go. Act 2 starting off strong for Rare Atom. One of their strengths in previous series has been knowing when to take their fights. It took a little while for that mid lane outer turret to fall, but without the Maokai ult available, LGD couldn't defend themselves. Rare Atom, they pulled the trigger at the right point. Now, looking at this Baron, that'll see them over to the next dragon, and it'll see them over to being able to break open the map, particularly now this mid lane turret has fallen. They missed a lot of the initial CC, but the tower's so low, they can just finish it in the middle of this fight, which helps them finish off this dive.
Yeah, Strive goes wild on the CC, but Xiaoxu never misses that Q3, does he? Manages to find it onto Envyy, saves the play. Recall denied by Envyy, but I'm not really sure if it's bought much for them. No neutrals up on the map right now, but it's an 8,000 gold lead in favor of RA. They're feeling good in this one. And a bit of redemption for what happened in game number 1, because they were feeling good right at the start of the game in game number 1, but the mid-game got real messy for RA. Just not even aware that LGD were doing a Baron. And I feel like this time around, they've had control of Baron. This time around, the second it spawns, they made a play preemptively to set up for their control.
And sadly, it feels like LGD, again, falling into this pattern of a strong game 1, strong initial plan for their series, and then that's a Blast Cone Feather probably didn't want to take, but anyway, moving on swiftly. Yeah, LGD not being able to really stick the landing in the second game. Close out a clean series. First plan is good. Plan B, need to go back to the drawing board for that one.
Leyan and Feather moving up. Assum pushing the wave in. I don't think they can just outright siege here 4v3. Because you see the Jace moving down, Haichao will clear the wave in the bottom side. But now Strive starting to push a wave in a separate lane, and this is really how you've got to use the Baron, especially against a team with such good wave clear. fearness has arrived, but I don't think he can defend this one alone, and he is going to be exclusively alone. fearness just about survives with Wild Growth coming in. Roots are there, TP to answer, as Envy's got some damage going for himself. And RA, they're trying to pressure multiple lanes, but actually being pressured in this situation, Xiaoxu, that demolished proc does mega damage. And now Envyy trying to clear the wave, but the cannons should finish this tier 2 off. And RA, it was a little bit messy, but they do get out with their lives.
Just about. You're right in saying that Envyy has at least got some damage, and that's what LGD have been angling for, to slow the game down to the point where Envyy can actually do relevant damage. It's not enough to get kills at that point, but it is enough to just about stave off what should be the last of the Baron push. Only 30 seconds left of it. Empowered recalls, all that really left of it. But now this push towards inner turret, Rare haven't got a response. They're teleporting.
Deep teleport here. Meteor, no ultimate available. Strive flashes over. Everfrost is there. It's onto fearness. Doesn't have his cask though, so he should go down. It's a pick for RA. Can they find more off of it? Drake is about to spawn. But to be honest, you would have expected them to get the Drake anyway. A push in the top side in the meantime from Envyy and JinJiao. They've got to get back to base. They're going to lose an inhib if they're not back soon.
Potentially so. You have to take the longer recalls. They don't have the Baron buff. That's another
charm.
charm.
Beautiful. Meteor taken down, but Leyan answered. Beautiful from Envyy. It's a tower down, but they can't actually force the inhib with Leyan falling. Rocket on cooldown despite no junglers up. This should still be RA's Drake. It's difficult to steal. Unless maybe Haichao can find a shock blast, but I don't think they're even going to try.
Yeah, Jace is teleporting to the other side of the map. There is no contest from LGD. Dragon will be secured from Rare Atom, but it's only the second of the game. They're not moving closer to a soul, and even if it was, it's the Chemtech soul. It's not the most valuable in the game. Even in games like this, where you have some tankier members who sit below half HP and get value from the resist and the extra damage. Rare Atom, they do make the most of that Baron, though. They stuck it away at the perfect point. 10,000 gold now in the lead.
Yeah, they do have a sizable lead for themselves. And I feel like for LGD, the game plan is, again, as you say, stall out. Like, the Barons are definitely going to be a problem for them, but at least they have some wave clear. The Dragons are kind of not a worry. Like, there's still 2 more before Soul. It's going to be 35 minutes before Soul is an option for RA, before Elder starts to tick out and enter the map. So they've got time to work with in that regard. It's down to how well RA can either A, just force a play, go for a dive, like try and make a play towards the mid lane in hit perhaps, or B, wait out, minute and a half till that next Baron comes up, see what they can do with that. Fearness is quite far forwards.
He is quite far forwards. Strive, gone back to base and bought my favorite item in the game, the Magi Soul Stealer. At 10 stacks already, so that means you do get the extra movement speed buff, and particularly with Strive, with the Zhonya's already, you can keep those stacks safe, you can move a little bit faster, close that distance a little more, and Strive has had a good game. You know, we were talking about how Rare Atom, they did pick up Mole in that mid lane position as well.
I'm surprised you sounded. Strive has had a good game. I feel bad for the guy.
Well, no. Well, the thing is, I actually quite like Strive. He's been quite a good performer when he's had the right moments. He's just a little more inconsistent than potentially some of our other mid laners with Strive. Yeah. In this game, making it work.
Yeah, it certainly is. I'm just ribbing you, really, but 40
I
seconds.
Want to be on record that I like Strive as a player, and he's having a good game. Damn it.
I feel like Strive is one of those players in the LPL where he's a solid middle-of-the-table mid laner, right? Where he has some really good games. Like, we've seen some really great performances from him. We also have games where he does get outlaned a bit. He does get outplayed a bit in the mid-game. Like, and ultimately, we've got players like Rookie and Knight in the league. We've got players that will absolutely take your part if you don't play perfectly. So, inevitably, you've got to have some players that are not going to be able to step up to that. But today, looking good on the Ahri, that's for sure. Especially after game number 1, where the Annie really leaving something to be desired from him. Good to see him having a bit of a comeback game from that. TP coming out, Baron spawning onto the map.
Teleports back onto the map with it as well. Baron is where the game will turn around. Leyan isolated against it. Going to take about half his HP and damage, though.
He thought Baron was isolated. Turns out he was isolated. Yes. Half of his health gone. Not great for RA, to be honest. Don't really have any sustain in the comp either.
Well, at least Leyan has his W to heal up thereabouts. And they have the vision control, which is still going to force LGD out of position. Force them to stop using their vision control. Again, they're getting engaged on now. Yeah,
it's not really a fight that LGD can win unless RA royally fluff it. Xiaoxu, the target. As he's knocked back, he's tanky. Is he tanky enough? Envyy trying to get that damage down, but Leyan half health. He's scared to jump in. The rocket could be huge here, as LGD are actually finding their fight. This is insane. Coming out from LGD. How are they winning this? 10,000 go down, and they go 1-0. Oh wait, no, they don't. Yeah, they got further in the end. I was looking at Xiaoxu. Can they find anything off of it? Is the question. LGD. You said they got to play with that range advantage. They're playing perfectly on it.
Sadly what they did, Rare Atom, their front line gets a little bit caught out of position, caught too far away from the enemy carries to do damage and too far away from safety to disengage. So Envyy has those 3 items. Doesn't matter now that they're, 8,000 gold down, 9,000 gold down even. It's enough now that the ultimates get thrown out at the right time. Envyy can do enough damage, particularly against the squishier members of Rare Atom.
And I like that LGD aren't resetting everyone here, just resetting Haichao, who has the TP available. Should the Baron be started, they know they have to fight for mid-prio, even 4v5. RA have the damage to try and force the Baron. Feather back onto the map now anyway, so we'll be back to that 5v5 situation. And RA, we're 28 minutes in. They've been ahead for 28 of those minutes. Tell me they do not stall out here. That would be absolute disaster. A charm like this, comes out onto Meteor, but he's kind of tanky at this point.
Unless you have Leyan catching someone out isolated or assume that the tanks are going to be really hard to take down. The thing about the setup Ahri build is that you are not able to kill HP stackers that easily. You're there to lock people in place for other people to do the work, and it is enough to force Meteor back, but he has ultimate. He can go through this choke point, and Rare Atom, they could get stuck in the pick.
The Baron's going to go down. They've already taken it, and LGD might find themselves in a fight anyway. fearness trying to escape. Cask available to disengage should they need it. As fearness playing to body block Strive, looking for picks. The roots come out across the team. Assum over the wall. It's a big blue light mid jump, but he stepped too far. And Haichao punishes it. Again, LGD find a pick in a fight. And now with no AD carry, Drake spawning. Xiaoxu steps forward. Leyan takes half his health from a shock blast. Haichao is carrying this fight for LGD. Envyy survives as Xiaoxu looks for a chance. He jumps up forward, all out onto the AD carry. Can he finish off the job? Haichao there to answer though. 2 for 1. And RA limping away. LGD 3 versus 3 now as Drake spawns onto the map.
Heroics from Xiaoxu to at least kill Envyy. That's a charm.
Meteor takes a chunk, but dodges away from the Everfrost. Strive could be in trouble here. Meteor can't find the knock-up, though. And Strive will walk away. Spirit Rush to dash away. And RA find themselves sole point, but, I mean, it's a 10,000 gold lead for RA, and it does not feel like it.
Assum, they're not able to take fights down the front of LGD's team composition. That's what we're seeing right now. Strive is trying to get some flanks. Assum, oddly, also trying to get some flanks. I'm sure we'll see that in the replay because Strive pops his Spirit Rush, tries to get that first charm, doesn't manage anything with it. Everfrost, similarly, not getting huge value. And Assum just way out of position, disconnected. And I feel like Assum, they feel a little bit desperate because they're not being able to force the big plays in the way that they want to. The only thing stopping this from being a massive blowout fight is the fact that Xiaoxu manages to just about get on top of Envyy. Doesn't manage it with the first Q3, manages to commit the flash just afterwards to do that. Can he do that again in a subsequent fight? I don't know, though.
We'll have to find out. It's LGD. At this point, with how hard they are holding on to this game, I'm kind of rooting for them a little bit. Because, like, RA, by all accounts, should have ended the game by now. They should have finished this one off. They've been so far ahead for so long. It feels like they can't actually end things. 12 stacks on the Medjais for Strive as he's finished off a death cap as well. He's got his Zhonya's. He can be the difference maker if he can find those charms, and he's been good for it so far this game. Can they convert it? Almost 4 items on Envyy as well. He's getting to a point where he is menacing in those fights. Honestly, look at the AD carries. Envyy.
Yeah.
He's at least tied with this Assum. Maybe even slightly ahead.
Well, I mean, look at the last fight as well. Haichao did some mega damage on the Jace. So the core bits of the range advantage from LGD are online. Despite the fact that you have a 0 and 5 Gragas, he's doing his job. Your carries have enough damage to make sure you can thread the needle in some of these fights. Strive is going, though.
Yeah, Spirit Rush used that Shock Blast. Does massive damage in the roots there onto Feather. QSSs, though. There's Envyy surviving for now, but the front line won't. Strive wants a charm slightly wide on it. Can they defend the Nexus? It's the ultimate game of tower defense, but Envyy pulled back in and Leyan Goomba stomps him on the Kha'Zix. It's over. RA, it was tough. It was a hard-fought win, but a win nonetheless. Double kill for Strive to finish it off. And now the minion wave will march on in, and RA take their victory.
It's a victory lap in Game 2. Takes them a while to get it done, but Assum, they make up for their mistakes in Game 1. It's hard fought, strong early game, some wobbles in the mid as they might have got stalled out on. They just about finishes across that line.
Just about managing to do it there. RA, honestly. Not making it look easy. Not making it look easy. As we come back and kind of take a second to, I don't know, I feel like we need to debrief from that game almost. It got messy. It got really messy. RA, really good early game. Decent mid-game. Much better mid-game than the previous game. However, once we get to like objectives and trying to just finish out the game, trying to leverage a lead, I feel like we're consistently seeing RA really struggling with that aspect of their gameplay. And LGD, fair props to them, we're fighting hard for it, but RA do take it in the end. I don't think it's a convincing win, though. I'm still feeling like LGD are the favourite to take this series.
Yeah, particularly because I think if you are an RA fan, the distressing thing about that series is that you had to have that vision control and attack from the flanks. They couldn't manage that. They went down the